Welcome to my guide on how to complete the 100-day survival challenge in Tribes of Midgard. I'm going to be outlining a very simple strategy that I used that's going to increase your chances of success in completing this 16-hour venture. That's right, you can save and quit, so don't worry about that. But this is a very long challenge to complete, so I do recommend trying to separate it into different sections so that you don't go crazy or get too bored. If you don't know, one of the achievement challenges in Tribes of Midgard is to reach day 100 in survival mode. Completing this challenge rewards you with a purple rarity frost axe recipe to craft in-game. This is actually pretty nice because it's the only purple frost melee weapon in the game at the moment. The other option is legendary, so you don't have to use any horns to craft this. And the challenge also contributes to your 26 total required for the wild boar pet cosmetic. So let's get into it. In the other modes tab, you're going to see survival, and clicking on the new game will bring up a settings menu. For the purposes of this challenge, we want the easiest settings possible. So these are my settings. I set it to private, solo, of course. You want to make sure to set the map size to large. This is super important because it's going to give those Jotuns time to get to your base. You want to set the decay to low, everything to easy. Keep the Yotun arrow displayed, and then also souls only, lost on death. This way you're not going to lose any materials, so you don't have to worry about going back and retrieving a box or anything like that. It just makes it a lot easier and a lot nicer if you do happen to die. Now, because all of our settings are on easy, the ads are going to be pretty easy to take down. You can even go into areas that are a little bit overpowered at first. So early game, starting on day 1 through about 20 or 30, depending on which class you pick, you want to focus on gathering materials and upgrading your base. Just like in Saga mode, you're going to want to focus on the Tinkerer first and get your tools upgraded, and also to unlock tier 3 material crafting, and then the blacksmith to work on getting a better weapon. And then you're going to want to start pumping materials into the quarry. You want to get the quarry, the lumber mill, and the farm all unlocked and ready to go, so you can start getting a lot more mats to your base. And at the same time, you're going to be wanting to upgrade the NPCs there, as well as start crafting walls and archer towers. Eventually, everything's going to be max level, your walls and your NPCs and all that good stuff. Just take your time, grab as many souls as you can. Just use this time in early game to set yourself up for success. You want to gather up as much materials as you can. You can even pin some of the recipes for the weapons that you want to make. You're going to want to make a weapon in each element so that you can take down the Jotuns very easily, and also a nice AoE thunder weapon for your base defense. During this early game, the first 30 to 40 days, you also want to try and uncover as much of the map as humanly possible. Grab all the shrines you can. This is going to help you triangulate and locate those Jotuns a lot faster and get to them a lot faster. For classes, I would highly recommend Warden, just because you ignore durability issues, so you don't have to ever worry about fixing your tools or your weapon or your gear, and this is really going to take its toll over the course of the 100 days. It's nicer just not to have to worry about it, so I did go Warden. However, do keep in mind that the Warden's potion skill point is broken at the moment, and it will only let you hold 3 out of the 4. Even though it says 4, you can only hold 3, so keep that in mind. Alright, now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the Yotun. This is the strategy that I used that I believe was the key to my success for this 100-day survival run, and that is basically edging the Jotuns, getting them down to low health, and then letting them walk the rest of the way. Now, there are 2 strategies that I implemented here for early game while I'm still getting materials and still getting all the gear set up that I want, getting my base upgraded, all that good stuff. When I have stuff to do, I was damaging the Jotuns down to a couple thousand health and then letting them just walk to the base. This allows for the next Yotun to spawn as late as possible, so you're not going to get another Yotun spawn until the one prior to it is dead, but that next one is going to have more health, and it's going to increasingly get harder and harder, and by their level you can see what number Yotun you're on. So in order to kind of combat this, so we're not fighting Jotuns at level 30 or 40 on day 100, we want each Jotun to be on the field on the map as long as possible. So for early game, while you're still collecting materials and you have stuff to do, I would suggest just getting the Jotun down to a few thousand, couple thousand, and then letting them walk all the way to base, and then letting your archers take care of them, or you can help as well. Just make sure you pick up the loot that the Jotun drops. And then one final note for early to mid game, you do want to make sure you do some of the events and some of the quests and stock up on those fragments, because they do sell for a lot. So in late game, if you die and you need souls immediately to repair some gates or something, you can go and sell that and get back to base very quickly. If you get any soul potions, you can also store those in your war chest for late game as well. Alright, so now it's day 40, you got a nice stack of materials, you've crafted weapons in all elements, you've got your armor set up and ready to go, and you're waiting for Jotuns to spawn, and it feels very boring, very kind of AFK at this stage, because all the other enemies are really easy, so the health things maybe destroy a gate or two every 3 or 4 nights. Make sure that you keep on your game and keep uncovering the map and unlocking shrines. On day 40, you're still probably going to have some shrines to discover because the large map is very large. However, around this time is when you're going to want to start delaying your Jotuns even more. My delay record on one of the Frost Jotuns was actually 6 days I delayed them to the base. So it's up to you how much or how little of this you want to do. However, I highly recommend you do it, especially if you are solo. It's going to make your life so much easier. Now it's up to you how much or how little of this you want to do, but I would highly recommend trying it out, especially if you're doing survival solo, because this is going to help you out in the long run. Basically, as soon as the Jotun spawns, you want to locate it immediately. You want to get them down kind of low and then just aggro them as you walk with them to the village. You just want to aggro, avoid their attacks, and keep them busy as much as possible. This is going to slow them down even more. So normally it takes about 2 or 3 days for the Jotun to make it to the village, depending on how far they have to walk, but you can extend this by another day or 2 just by doing this method. The late game tanky Jotuns are gonna kill your runs, especially if you have a map that has shorter sides than others. If you get screwed and the Jotun spawns on that shorter side, they're gonna be at your base in no time. And then as you're escorting these Jotuns to the village, you just want to make sure you are taking shrines back to the village every few nights, and especially on a blood moon, to make sure that your gates are intact, everything's going well, supply your archers with arrows, etc. And then in between Jotun spawns, you're also going to have a day or so where you can go out and grab materials. If you need extra health potion materials, speed potions, I highly recommend. You can pin all of this in your recipes tab, and then you'll know which ingredients you need to collect in order to stock up on those potions. But this was basically what I did for the entire 100 days. I know it gets really boring. That's why I recommend doing it in sessions. I did it in 2 different sessions, and it still got a little monotonous where you are forgetting to do simple things. So if you find yourself forgetting to do simple things, like go back during a blood moon or go get to the Jotun as fast as possible when they spawn, then make sure you just save and quit, come back to it later. If you follow this method, you should have about 18 Jotun killed, with the final one having 202,000 health, which is not that bad considering that in Saga mode, Fenrir has 180k health when you're solo. So it's about the same there, plus you have a lot more time to kill the Jotun as they're walking to your base. With legendary gear, matching elements, all that good stuff, they should be a breeze to kill. You're really not going to have an issue with any of these Jotuns. I would say past 22 to 24, that's when you start getting pretty tanky Jotuns, which is why I'm recommending this strategy to avoid that. One last note about the runes, you want to make sure that you're looking for damage boosting runes. Early game you can equip some of the movement speed runes, like the 20% faster movement speed at night and things like that, to help you uncover the map. But late game you're going to want to look for weaver runes, powered up, soul powered, damage runes like that are really going to help you cut through a lot of the HP here. Do keep in mind that there is diminishing returns on the stacking. I did try out 4 powered up runes and it seemed like I wasn't doing that much more damage than the 3, so I opted to go for 2 weavers. If you're using weaver mods, do make sure that you don't accidentally hit the Yotun when they're low health if you're trying to focus on ads or something like that. Alright guys, that is it for my survival 100 days challenge guide, tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It is a pretty simple run, but it's easy to get distracted and to forget what you're doing, so make sure you keep your game face on all 100 days so you can get that frost axe and get your achievements completed. As you can see at the end of my 100 days, I also sold all of my materials so that I could get that 1 million souls challenge as well. So you could do that in here. You could also get the 100 building pieces challenge in here as well, which I did early on in my survival run. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have any questions about survival or Tribes of Midgard, leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.